Do you ever feel like your life is about as meaningful as an ejector seat in a helicopter? Well, the good news is that when I say you're not alone in your search for meaning, I'm talking about quite literally every human that is alive or has ever lived has faced the same dilemma. So here are a few ideas that hopefully might get you closer to a more meaningful life. 1. Write out what you currently enjoy most and least about your life. Like that can give you a good springboard for how to move forward, because there are the obvious things like you enjoy your spouse, your family, your hobbies, but get specific. Like, what is it that you like about your spouse? What is it that you like doing with your family? What about your hobbies gives you life? Like you might think, I really love when there are no more chores to do, no more emails to send, and I can just sit down with my husband with a glass of wine and talk about our day. Or you might think, I really love when we have family vacations that are all well thought out and well executed. Like those are the memories that stick with me the most. Or with your hobbies, just to give a personal example, but I literally have 1,000 ideas a day. So I find a lot of meaning in having an outlet to just share all my random ramblings with you guys, and I appreciate anyone who is willing to listen. Also, on the flip side of writing out the things you like least about your life, when you take a minute and stop, you might realize that you hate how exhausted you constantly are, and that it's really only you driving yourself too hard, or you hate that your relationship with your family isn't what it could be, and that'd just take a little initiative from you to make that 1,000 times better. Or maybe it finally hits you and you think, I actually really dislike my personality. and I'm all for not being too hard on yourself, but there may be some validity to some of those self-critical thoughts. Like maybe your personality needs some adjusting to help you live your most vibrant life. When I was in high school, I was a bit of a class clown, and when I started having deeper and more serious thoughts and feelings about life, I'd try to share those with people, but it like wouldn't stick and they wouldn't take me seriously because I was such a doofus. And I realized that I didn't like that part of my personality, like that in a serious situation, even I would gravitate towards humor to diffuse or deflect anything that could be potentially uncomfortable. And I made a conscious decision that I wanted to work on that part of my personality. But with all these things, you never know till you stop and think about it, and writing out what you like and dislike about your life situation is just a really good way to make it concrete. 2. Be more conscious of your personal duty to society and your family. I know that sounds like something that Uncle Iro would say.
There's nothing wrong with a life of peace and prosperity. I suggest you think about what it is that you want from your life and why.
But in the West, I think we've swung a bit too far on the individualist side of the pendulum. We think far too much about what do I want for my life and not about how can I contribute to the greater good of my society. Obviously, those can both go to extremes, but this seems to be one of the biggest divides between the East and the West. The East tends to have communism or Japanese honor culture, things like that, whereas the West is hyper focused on, are you happy? Are you living your best life? And I think our total saturation in individualism has really sapped a lot of meaning out of our lives. It takes so many people to keep a society afloat. Electricians and computer techs and plumbers and logistics people who make sure groceries and products are going from here to there. Or like anytime I go to an airport, I'm amazed that anything that complex with so many moving parts can even operate it without it being a total dumpster fire. Which, knock on wood, I know things lately have been wild with airplanes. But I know that all of us have had a dumpster fire airport experience, but the fact that such an operation is keeping its head above water is a modern day miracle. And so we kind of owe it to our neighbors and especially our family to think of our responsibility to them. Like I know a guy who had a dream to somehow get on the Forbes 30 under 30 list, but he put his career dreams on hold so that he could help take care of his younger siblings after their mom came down with a crippling disability. And he just worked, I think, a pretty basic sales job for several years and stuck around his hometown. And he told me at one point that he was the happiest he's ever been. I think we've been misled to believe that achieving our goals, which are usually career-oriented, is what's going to bring us the most meaning in life, but often meaning is found most in sacrificing your time and energy for others and being a devoted part of something bigger than yourself, whether that's your relationship with your spouse or your family or your religious community or your local charity of choice or whatever. And in an ironic way, sometimes the more you sacrifice yourself, the more you find yourself. By the way, I'm Andrew, and this is my co-host, Oakley. And we are currently accepting donations in the form of subscribes or taking us on long walks through your neighborhood. 3. Be that guy at your job that everyone's excited to work with, the guy who doesn't cause drama, the guy who brings donuts for everyone on Fridays, the guy who makes your job easier, not harder. You don't even have to be the super chatty, peppy guy. It can really start with things as simple as remembering people's birthdays or vocalizing appreciation, just saying, hey, you really did a great job on that project, or just not constantly complaining and bringing the mood down. Or here's a huge one if you're really brave, be that guy who doesn't trash talk other people, other coworkers. Like work environments can get real toxic real fast, so you'll really set yourself apart if you don't participate in all of the drama and gossip. And being that guy doesn't just have to be at work. I have yearly personal goals that are kind of how to become that guy for my marriage, for my kids, for my family, for my job, just to break it up into categories. Like, just to name a few, last year I wrote out a compliment calendar for my wife every day on this little calendar, like writing one out. And I know you're thinking, oh, that's sweet, but it was literally necessary to train me because I'm so horrendous at vocalizing appreciation. So that's something she needs, and I've gotten decent at writing it out, but now the next frontier is getting it from my mind to my mouth, because for whatever reason it's so damn hard for men to vocalize things. And I do this because I want to be that guy in my marriage, like the guy who's doing it right. And I'm not there yet, but I want to take steps towards being that guy as a husband, as a father, as a son, as a business owner. And if you have a vision of what being that guy would look like for you, feel free to share in the comments. So hopefully you've found at least one of these things to be helpful. Please subscribe so that Oakley can pay for all his Tony Robbins life coaching courses that he put on his credit card. And here's a slideshow of him as a reward for making it to the end.